Okay, imagine this for a moment. A hidden world pulsing just beneath the surface of ours, where leaves rustle with tales of survival, shadows dictate the hunt, and every creature, big or small, really dances to the rhythm set by its surroundings.
Hmm.
On today's deep dive, we're not just, looking at where animals live. We're diving deep into how their environment, the air, the ground, the other creatures, how it fundamentally shapes what they do, and ultimately how they thrive.
Right. It's that fundamental connection.
Exactly. We've gone through some fascinating articles, stuff on animal behavior, ecology, conservation, and also the impact often unseen of human activity.
Yeah, good mix of sources.
And our mission today, well, it's pretty profound, actually. It's to understand how the environment defines what's natural for an animal, what's normal, and sadly, what becomes abnormal, and what all that means for their well-being, whether they're wild or in our care.
That's a crucial distinction.
Before we plunge into all that incredible interconnectedness, though, a quick call out to all you curious minds listening. If the secret languages of nature, the profound wisdom of ecological balance, and the just captivating stories of animal lives spark your imagination, well, let the All Sorts podcast be your constant companion.
Absolutely.
Embark on more journeys with us. Like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Seriously, it's a rich ecosystem of past explorations just waiting for you. Show the wonders you find there with, fellow seekers of knowledge.
Read the word.
Yeah. And for deeper dives into the vast tapestry of life we've already explored, definitely listen to our growing archive. You can also follow the unfolding threads of our investigations on X, Instagram, and Threads. Just search for All Sorts Podcasts. Come join our thriving community.
Okay, so let's unpack this fundamental truth.
Yeah.
An animal's behavior is, well, it's inextricably linked to its environment.
Right. You can't separate them.
No. And the sources we looked at really underscore that animal actions aren't just random. They're how creatures interact with themselves, their surroundings, other beings.
Mm-hmm.
As one source put it quite nicely, behavior always has meaning. It's like a window into their internal state, their way of navigating the world.
Absolutely. And it's more than just reacting, isn't it? The environment, it acts almost like a sculptor. It molds behavior over generations, really, through the pressure of survival.
Exactly. Selection pressure.
Our sources clearly show how the environment favors behaviors that, maximize an animal's chances. Finding food, avoiding getting eaten, reproducing.
The core drivers.
Yeah. And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Even within the same species, you see dramatically different behaviors depending on the specific environment. Like, think of a coyote in a forest versus one in a busy city.
Oh, completely different strategies.
Right. Same animal, but their daily routines, their survival tactics, worlds apart, dictated by their surroundings. So behavior isn't just what an animal does, it's kind of a living record of what its environment has demanded for it to survive.
Precisely. And that brings us to a really vital set of distinctions.
Mm-hmm.
What we mean by natural, normal, and abnormal behavior.
Okay, let's break those down. Natural first.
Right. Now, natural behavior is what we typically see in the wild.
Mm-hmm.
Those actions honed by evolution because they directly help survival in that specific natural environment. Think migration of birds, for example.
Driven by seasons, resources.
Exactly. It's natural, adaptive for their wild context.
Okay, so it's like part of their evolutionary programming for their original home. How does normal behavior fit in then? Is it different?
It can be. Normal behavior is, well, behavior that supports the well-being and survival of the individual right now and is appropriate for the situation they're in. Now, here's the key bit. Normal behavior can be natural or unnatural.
Ah, okay. Example?
Well, like a captive parrot learning to mimic human speech. That's not natural for a wild parrot, obviously.
Yeah, right.
But it could be a normal behavior in its captive setting. Maybe it even leads to positive interactions, gets it attention, or treats, enrichment.
So normal is about thriving here and now, wherever here happens to be, and then abnormal behavior. That sounds like the warning sign, the indicator that something's wrong with welfare.
Exactly. That's the red flag. Abnormal behavior is rarely seen in the wild and doesn't help the animal survive or reproduce. It often seems kind of pointless, without a clear goal. Sometimes it even involves normal behaviors, but done inappropriately, or like way too much. Stereotypers are the classic example mentioned in the sources.
Like pacing.
Yes, exactly. A tiger pacing endlessly back and forth in its enclosure. Walking is natural, sure, but that repetitive, goalless pacing, that's not normal, and it often signals major stress. So it basically screams this animal's needs aren't being met, whether it's that pacing tiger or maybe a bird constantly plucking its own feathers in a cage. Understanding natural and normal gives us that crucial baseline. It helps us spot when welfare might be compromised.
Okay, so the environment is this incredibly powerful force shaping all these behaviors. Let's zoom in on some specifics from the sources. How does it influence something like the fear response? That seems pretty fundamental.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how the environment, especially how animals interact with us, with humans, can dramatically change those innate fear responses.
How so?
Well, wild animals usually have a strong fear of humans, right? It's a critical survival mechanism.
Makes sense. Keep your distance.
But in environments where animals have frequent, often non-threatening encounters, think urban foxes, maybe city pigeons, raccoons,
Yeah, you see them all the time.
they can become habituated, desensitized, the fear lessens. And this can actually mess up that natural fight-or-flight balance. They might become less cautious in situations that are actually dangerous, like approaching roads or people's pets.
It's like a blurring of the lines, isn't it? The human environment creates new, maybe confusing rules for them. What about territory size? That seems like another obvious one, influenced by surroundings.
Oh, definitely. Connected to resource availability. It makes perfect sense.
Okay.
An environment that's rich in food, safe shelter, potential mates that can often support smaller territories. Animals, they operate on an energy budget.
Right. Don't waste energy.
Exactly. They won't spend more energy defending a huge area than they gain from it.
Yeah.
In a city, for example, maybe reliable access to dumpsters or dropped food lets urban squirrels maintain much smaller territories compared to their rural cousins where food is more spread out.
So they're constantly doing that cost-benefit analysis.
Basically, yes. They weigh the energy spent defending against the resources gained. If the gain isn't worth the effort, they adjust. Interestingly, though, sometimes a scarcity of just one crucial resource, like maybe good nesting sites, can force larger territories, even if food is plentiful.
Huh. That's counterintuitive, but makes sense. What about diet? Surely the environment dictates what's on the menu.
Absolutely. Fundamentally, the environment dictates what food is available, period, and therefore the animal's diet. Omnivores, as you'd expect, are particularly good at exploiting different environments, including cities. They can switch things up.
Capitalize on whatever's there, like pizza crusts.
Yeah, sometimes literally. But dietary preferences aren't always just choice. They're often critical adaptations to what's consistently available in a habitat. And, as the sources highlighted, diet isn't static. It can shift seasonally. Think of a bear eating mostly berries in the fall, then switching to more meat in the spring.
So a big change in the environment, like losing a key food source.
Yeah.
That has a direct, possibly devastating impact.
Huge impact. And daily habits. Like when an animal sleeps or is active, that's also got to be tightly linked to the environment, right?
Definitely. Think about conserving energy, avoiding predators.
Right. Daily routines, feeding times, resting times, they're often synchronized with environmental cues, light levels, temperature, but also the activity patterns of prey and predators.
Ah, okay, so it's not just the physical environment.
No. For instance, being nocturnal might be a strategy to avoid daytime predators or maybe to hunt prey that only comes out at night. But interestingly, some animals we think of as strictly nocturnal might actually show more daytime activity if there's less human disturbance around.
So humans push them into the night sometimes.
Can do, yeah. And predator presence generally has a powerful influence. Prey animals will often shift their active hours to minimize the chance of bumping into whatever eats them.
It really is this constant interplay, this delicate balancing act between the animal and everything around it. Even social structures like family groups or herd size. How does the environment shape those?
Okay, think about the trade-offs of group living. Benefit, better protection, more eyes looking out for danger, cost, more competition for food.
Right.
So in wide open environments, like grasslands, bigger herds can be a huge advantage. Safety in numbers, collective defense.
Spot danger from further away?
Exactly. But in more sheltered places, like dense forests where resources might be more spread out and hiding is easier, smaller groups or even living alone might be better. You see this with deer, right? Smaller family groups in forests, larger herds out on open plains.
That paints such a clear picture for wild animals. But what about when we bring animals into human care? Zoos, sanctuaries, even pets. How does this understanding inform their welfare in captivity?
This is where it becomes absolutely critical. If those captive environments don't let animals express their deeply ingrained natural behaviors, well, they can experience chronic stress, frustration. It's really damaging.
Yeah, you can imagine.
The sources really emphasize how vital it is to provide Adequate space, stimulating environments, access to resources, things that allow appropriate movement, mental engagement, and, this is key, the opportunity for choice.
Choice. That
Yeah.
theme keeps popping up. Seems incredibly important.
It really is. Even if the animal doesn't use every option all the time, just having the ability to make choices seems fundamental to their sense of control and well-being.
And the lack of choice.
Well, lack of choice, like a totally monotonous diet, constant confinement, no social interaction if they're social animals, barren enclosures that can be profoundly detrimental, psychologically and even physically.
So creating a good captive environment, it isn't just about making it look natural, is it? Throwing in some plants and rocks.
Exactly right. It's not just aesthetics. A truly enriching environment focuses on promoting natural and rewarding behaviors. This is where environmental enrichment comes in.
Right, giving them things to do.
Yes. Providing opportunities for species-specific activities like foraging for food in different ways, not just putting it in a bowl, creating nesting or denning spots, offering places to dig or structures to climb, facilitating appropriate social interactions if they need them.
Scattering food, puzzle feeders.
Yeah, puzzle feeders are great. Or providing different textures or substrates for animals that naturally dig or root around.
And providing choice could be simpler things too, like offering different food items, letting them choose between indoor and outdoor areas, maybe even creating temperature or humidity zones.
Those are excellent examples, absolutely. For social animals, giving options for interaction but also places to retreat and be alone is key. Even just the ability to hide from view, get away from the public in a zoo setting, can significantly reduce stress. Research clearly shows that giving animals even some control over their environment, like when they get access to certain areas, has a measurable positive impact on welfare.
It sounds like creating a truly supportive, captive environment isn't a one-off thing. It's this ongoing process of really understanding a species' natural history, its behavioral needs, and then creatively finding ways to meet those needs, always prioritizing the animal's ability to have some control.
Precisely. Well put. And when you think about the negative impacts of environmental changes on welfare in the wild, the urgency of understanding all this becomes even clearer.
Yeah.
Habitat loss, fragmentation, these are just devastating. They prevent safe movement, disrupt essential behaviors, limit access to the absolute basics, food, water, shelter. The scale of habitat destruction, it causes immense suffering and death for countless animals.
It's not just losing their home, is it? Fragmentation,
Right.
it cuts populations off, messes up ecological processes like pollination. It's like a cascade of negative effects.
It is a terrible cascade, and the impacts go beyond just bulldozing habitats. Think about invasive plant species.
How do they affect behavior?
Well, they can dramatically alter things. They might outcompete native food sources, so animals have less to eat. They can change the actual physical structure of the vegetation, removing shelter or nesting opportunities. Sometimes they even create ecological traps, situations where an animal is attracted to something about the invasive plant that ultimately harms it.
Wow. I hadn't fully considered the behavioral impact of invasive plants like that. It adds another layer.
It really does. They can fundamentally change foraging strategies, where animals nest, even predator-prey dynamics. And then there's something maybe more subtle but pervasive. Light pollution.
Artificial light at night.
Exactly. It disrupts the natural light-dark cycles that govern so many critical animal behaviors. Reproduction, foraging, migration, avoiding predators.
Who does it affect most?
Nocturnal animals are obviously hit hard, but it impacts a huge range. Amphibians, sea turtles, their hatchlings get disoriented trying to find the ocean.
Oh, right. They head towards the brightest light.
Yeah, often towards streetlights instead of the sea. Migrating birds that use stars for navigation get confused. Even insects, millions, are fatally attracted to artificial lights, which then has knock-on effects up the food web because other animals rely on those insects for food.
It's like we're just unraveling this incredibly intricate web, aren't we? And every thread, every single environmental factor is deeply connected to the lives and the well-being of animals.
That really is the core message, isn't it? The environment exerts this profound, multifaceted influence on literally every aspect of animal behavior and welfare, whether it's a tiny insect in a huge forest, an elephant in a reserve, or a hamster in a cage.
Yeah.
And understanding this fundamental relationship, it's not just, interesting academically. It's absolutely crucial if we want effective conservation, responsible wildlife management, and the highest possible standards of animal welfare wherever humans and animals interact.
It truly makes you pause and reflect on the world around us. So think about the environments and the wild spaces, sure, but also the human-altered landscapes that surround you every day. How might even subtle shifts in these places be shaping the behaviors, the well-being of the animals, seen and unseen, that share our planet? What responsibility do we actually have to deepen our understanding of these delicate ecological equations and maybe, just maybe, tread a bit more lightly?